Okay, Viva question. What made the Great Depression last so long? Some historians argue that people were betting on the wrong stocks and not knowing what they were doing. Others think the Great Depression ended after World War II, which helped put Americans back to work. And what I think it is while we tend to view the New Deal as the policy which helped to end the economic disaster of the 1930s, in many ways, government policies were responsible for the prolonged nature of the Great Depression. My three reasons are the gold standard, globalization, and the government interventions. The usually prolonged and difficult nature of the Great Depression was a result of the post-war gold policies amongst the great powers. Early on, people thought of using precious metals as a universal currency. Money then evolved into marked pieces to stop the confusion, and later banks would store the metals and give you a paper or coin certificate, which helped allow you to get to the bank and get back the metal. So they were trying to make it easier and easier for people to have the currency and to buy goods, because just having a piece of metal or a little rock is hard to show off how much it's worth compared to others. Soon the government keeps the gold, and now we only use the paper as currency. Some benefits of the gold standard were gold supply slowly increased, and that decreased the price of gold, forcing people to buy stocks and not hold the gold. So if your currency is not going down or going up, up in value, that means people will hold the money because it's gonna, keep getting higher in value. But if it goes up and the money is worth less, people will get rid of it because they know later in a few years it's going to be less money than what they had, so they're going to use it faster, and that's going to help boost the economy. During World War I, most combat countries abandoned the gold standard, and after World War I, everyone went back on the gold standard system. France then tried to get all the gold but not print the money. This is to make the France franc very cheap and easy for outsiders to become very wealthy in France. The downside to this is France is holding on to 27% of the world's gold, so no other country was able to make more new money cause a deflation of gold of about 30%, because France was holding on to all this money, which made other people hold on to their money, so that means the whole economy of the world is going down. This led to the first shockwave of the First Depression. John Maynard Keynes says, anything except suspending the gold standard, that is too drastic to contemplate. But if we did get off the gold standard, everything would have been alright and fine and good. My second argument is the gold standard allowed the global economy to grow entangled without much thought being put into how one's country's economic decision might impact another's. Because France's unusual gold policies harmed nearly every other country in the world, in the 1920s there was no effort to cement these new emerging market agreements into any sort of unified legal system. So the countries were not talking together and making one unified way of currency and way of purchasing after World War I in the 1920s. John Inkenberry says the Great Depression was in part caused by the fact that people and institutions were overwhelmed by globalized world's pressures and consequences. So after World War I, Britain had a decrease in power, which meant America had the opportunity to step up and become the number one country with military and in the economy. So we did, and America didn't do too great of a job because of a lack of not wanting to do anything, since all these countries were in a little unfamiliar waters that they didn't know what to do with the decrease in the economy in Northern America, so they did not know what to do to help out the whole world, and in turn everyone just kind of sat and nothing really happened for a little bit. My third argument is the government misdiagnosed the problem and in turn slowed down the recovery. If America got off the gold standard, it would have ended the Depression much faster. So if we got off the gold standard after World War One, the Great Depression would have ended a lot sooner because we would have been able to make our own currency and our own way of buying goods in America, which would have helped speed up the process. Many of their solutions included ineffective or inefficient tools, such as the labor camps and the demolition of homes of impoverished Americans. So obviously you can see how those would not work on the economy. And most importantly, the New Deal made the market very unpredictable. So people did not want to buy stocks and put their money back into the economy, because if the stocks are always fluctuating, going up and down, that is an unsafe bet, and obviously you would not want to bet your money on something you know that is going to go straight down and waste all your time and money. So those are the three reasons why I think the Great Depression lasted as long as it did.